We're live. And we are live. We are live.
Awesome.
Welcome to a Monday edition of Tuesday Talk. Gonna wait for some people to come on in. Come on in. To our Tuesday Talk. Today we are talking about soul food or slave food.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we just went live on the Shrine of My Aunt's Facebook page. So we're gonna have some more people coming in.
Excellent.
Yes, people, we already know what it is because we've had these conversations. We already know what it is. We
That's right. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. I think this is going to be a really good conversation, really about our own private personal choices to continue things we should not be continuing, or to recognize it as such and let it go.
Right.
You know, put the appropriate labels on it. So, welcome to Tuesday Talk live taping on a Monday. I there are people who are with me a lot and know that sometimes Tuesday Talk tapings are on other days. So welcome, and we're gonna get started pretty soon. Yes, I see people here. I love Gagut. I hope that I said that correctly. Welcome, Ronald P. Boone, for Fanta Tracy, a fully initiated member
Oh.
of the Shrine. Yes. So today we have a wonderful guest here, BnAuset, KaNSekmet. She is a beautiful woman inside and out, and she's definitely an active participant and contributor in the Kemetic community. And we've seen each other at many events and have had many wonderful interactions. And I said, I would love to have her on for Tuesday Talk. When I got her bio, I came to understand that she is also very smart, brains and beauty. And a lot of times when I get bios, I think, well, let me make them a little shorter, and then I read them, and I'm like, no, everything has to stay in, and that's what we have here. So I want you to listen to what our sister has done with her time so far, and how this contributes to our Kemetic community. BnAuset KaNSekmet is the founder of Kemetic Wellness Sacred Healing Center. As a registered nurse with over a decade of clinical experience, she has provided family centered care to hundreds of families throughout the greater New York area. She is a holistic healing consultant, Ra Seiki Kemetic Reiki practitioner, global Sacred Woman Village family ambassador of wellness, womb yoga dance instructor, and Kemetic priestess. BnAuset has been widely recognized and awarded for service excellence in the care of children and their families. Her passion for providing families with a nurturing experience led BnAuset to merge over a decade of clinical expertise with African healing techniques. Her commitment to uplifting others began as a teenager in DeWitt Clinton High School's Medical Science Honors Program. There, she began organizing volunteer efforts for soup kitchens, school beautification projects, and nursing homes in her Bronx hometown. She further continued community building during her college career, organizing and participating in numerous causes for Circle K International, the largest collegiate service organization worldwide. Bonasset earned her Bachelor of Science degree in nursing from Adelphi University and New York State licensure as a registered professional nurse. She cultivated her nursing skills at Harlem Hospital Center, becoming the first on their inpatient pediatric unit to earn certification as a pediatric nurse. As charge nurse, she quickly gained a reputation for running a smooth unit and handling patients with kindness and ease. Throughout her work as a nurse, she became more passionate about natural living as she began to see the need for natural cultural care for the spiritual healing of Black families. This passion, further fueled by her personal health challenges, Her personal experience with chronic medical conditions inspired her to heal herself through the natural remedies she learned from her Jamaican parents. After a car accident injury, she suffered muscle spasms and loss of lower motor function. BnAuset was adamant about healing herself through natural methods. Through consistent physical therapy, massage, and dedicated mobility and yoga practice, she was ambulating unassisted within months of the accident and regaining full motor function over a period of 2 years. During this time, she discovered that reconnecting to ancient African spiritual teachings was key in her healing process. Under the guidance of Master and High Priest Impudishi Jehutimus, BnAuset was initiated into the Kemetic tradition. This led to the birth of Kemetic Wellness Sacred Healing Center. Furthering her study of spiritual healing, she was attuned to Kemetic Reiki healing as a level 2 practitioner by master teacher Mutshat Shemsut Jamprem Kaur of Enlight Yoga and Health in the Bronx, New York. On her wellness journey, BnAuset then sought out the guidance of supreme African medicine woman Queen Afua to overcome her long-standing struggle with severe dysmenorrhea. Within months of detoxing her diet and relationships, BnAuset was able to finally end her battle with womb pain. She was among the first graduating class of womb yoga dance practitioners at the Queen Afua Wellness University. The African holistic health wisdom that transformed her health and her life are infused into the foundation of Kemetic Wellness Sacred Healing Center. It is her mission to use ancient healing tools and techniques to help create a healthy, prosperous community. So BnAuset, I say welcome. And that's super dope. And that's what I thought when I read it all. I was like, go ahead, girl, I ain't know all this.
You are actually reminding me of all of the things I've done. I'm like, oh, I really did all that.
Go ahead. Brush the dirt off your shoulders, girl. There you go. There you go. Good.
Thank you for that.
Let's get into the meat of tonight. What is it that we as Pan-African Black people consider soul food? And, food is supposed to be nutrients for the body, for the mind, for the spirit, for the soul. It isn't just to feel full or stuffed or you've eaten so much that you're in like a food coma.
Right.
So, I think as Western countries and especially America, we have an abusive relationship with food, like everything else is based on violence.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's not a surprise that we have the obesity rate we have, and some of the things that we call food ain't even food. So what's your opinion of food? Before we get into soul food, what's food?
Well, food is anything that we consume that gives us the energy to continue life. That's the definition of food that I like to use.
Okay.
Like you said, most of us think of food as whatever can get you full and stuff. And because we're so disconnected from our food, we're so disconnected from the growing process of the food, which is a natural thing. We oftentimes don't even think about what we're eating. Most of us, a lot of people in Western society actually have no idea what even basic vegetables look like, how they're grown. We think food is stuff that comes in a package. And we're even more far removed from food than we were during the days of slavery, which is where this topic of soul food comes from. This idea of soul food comes from. Soul food should be, and it really is, food that nourishes the soul. It's food that continues to give life. It's food that allows you the mental clarity to make the proper decisions that you need to make in your life. And that's not what most of us call soul food, unfortunately. So when we think of the term soul food, we often think of those foods that we eat during European holidays. Thanksgiving, Christmas, and we all know what those foods are. We have the mac and cheese and collard greens with the pork in it, and turkey and ham and all of these other foods that really should never be called soul food because they deteriorate us at a soul level. They deteriorate us to the point that, I remember the last time that I actually had soul food. And this was probably maybe 3 years ago at my aunt's birthday, actually. And they cooked all the same things that I just mentioned to you, potato salad and the chicken and all that stuff. And I tried to eat the safest things. Try to eat the safest things. I said I had some rice, a little bit of potato salad. Ciao. By the end of that night, I was laid out on the couch and I could not move.
Yeah.
When I say I could not move, I literally could not move. I was in one of those deep sleeps. And so when they say that sleep is the cousin to death, that's very real. That's very real. And I remember when I used to eat like that, I was sleeping very often. I was sleeping a lot. That food will give you what we like to call the itis. You eat and you want to go to sleep right after. And we don't understand that the reason that that's happening is when your body's taking so much energy to be able to process those foods. And the other thing is that it's depleting itself of nutrients to be able to process these foods as well. So this is where we get a lot of the diseases that we have. Diseases happen when you have too much of something, which is toxicity, or not enough nutrients, right? And there's a whole process that your body goes through when it comes to digestion. You first put the food into the mouth, which is ingestion, right? Then the food is broken down. It starts to be broken down in the mouth and then in the gut, which is the second part of the digestive phase. Then the food goes through absorption and assimilation, which means it's absorbed into the cells and it becomes a part of your cellular makeup. Your body is taking whatever nutrients is in the food and making it a part of its own cellular makeup, right? So when they say you are what you eat, that is literal. You literally are what you eat. Whatever is in the food is what is going to be taken from the food and made a part of your own cellular makeup. And then you have the elimination phase, which some of us are not even doing on a regular basis as well. So that's a whole nother problem, right? So if your body's gone through this entire process, think of all of the energy that your body used up to be able to just digest that food. Now, what happens when there's virtually no nutrients in the food that you just ate? What do you think your body has to do to try to keep you alive? It's going to take whatever nutrients is already in the body, taking it from different parts of the body, from the eyes, from the muscles, from the bones, from your different organs, but trying to keep the most vital organs alive, right? To keep you alive, because your body loves you so much. Your body's doing everything possible to keep you alive, but you have to help it. You have to help yourself. So when you've done that, you've eaten foods that are devitalized. You've essentially robbed your body of nutrients. And when you do that meal after meal after meal after meal after meal, disease is the result.
Simple.
Yeah. Very simple. Very simple. But we aren't taught that. So we often do not think about it. And to do things the correct way a lot of the time means going against how everything is set up for you in society. So you have to, it's a conscious effort. You have to make a conscious effort to do things differently.
So I want to thank you for breaking all that down from ingestion to, eliminate from digestion to elimination, basically, is what that is.
Right.
I want to start at the tail end, pun intended. I remember going to college. Now, a booster shot is regular. I've always been regular. I eat, I go, eat, go, eat, go. And then in the morning, you go. And that was from the last meal you had that night, period.
Right.
One in, one out. It's simple math. It's linear. In and out. It's
In
like
and
In-N-Out burger. It's in and out.
out.
I remember these girls I was friends with freshman year. We were, for some reason, we were talking about elimination. I have no idea. And she said that she goes maybe once or twice a week. And I was like, oh my God. And that was the first time in my life at the time, I was 17, that I even knew it was possible to not just go after you eat. And I was like, you only go number two once or twice a week? And she was like, yeah. And she was like, well, how often do you go? I go, every time I eat. When I eat, then I go.
Right.
And she was like, she said, ugh, you always doodling. I said, ugh, you're always walking around with lots of doodle in your body.
Oh my goodness, that's so sad. She had no idea. That that's a natural part of the digestive phase. And that's why I broke it down like that, because we need to understand that that is a natural part of digestion. The elimination part must come. And if it doesn't, that means that all of those meals that you have not eliminated are still there in your belly. So a lot of us are walking around with, they say the average American has between 5 to 25 pounds of extra belly fat, of extra waste in the colon, as a matter of fact. So we are walking around with these big extended bellies. That's poop in your belly. A lot of it is poop in your belly that you have not expelled because you're not even eating the right foods that's going to allow your colon to peristalsis to happen, basically, which is the movement, the forward movement of the fecal matter through the intestines. Right? So,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
In preparing for today's Tuesday talk, I was like, I just kept saying, like, I can't understand. And this because, and to be fair to people, I grew up eating what people would now consider whole foods. Okay. I'm not saying I never had McDonald's or pizza, but when I hung out with my dad and my brothers, my dad got us McDonald's. And it was fun because my mom wasn't buying us McDonald's. If I wanted pizza on Friday or Saturday, I had to start harassing my mother on Wednesday. For real. I had to invest the time because she wasn't hearing it. Like fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, lean meat. We didn't eat pork. I remember maybe my mom made pork chops once. That's the only memory I have of her making that. And that was over 40 years ago. Wow. But like bologna and like ham, my mother didn't even make me sandwiches, let alone with that. So I grew up with, my mom made homemade soup and salads with homemade dressing. And my cheat food was the cookies, which your girl still likes cookies. I would buy the cookies at school. And I was so excited to eat those 2 little cookies because I knew that was all I was getting. So I have a nice base of healthy food. Now, my boy Ronald P. Boone Jr. put Crystal Burgers in college. Your girl is taking them back. You know why? Because first of all, living in Connecticut, we didn't have Crystal Burgers or White Castle, which is basically the same thing. And Crystal Burgers are like this big. Crystal Burgers are like this big. They're like tiny. You can eat them in like 3 bites. They're like Crystal Burgers, right? They're like White Castles. And so
I don't even know what that was.
Oh, a Crystal Burger?
Yeah.
Crystal Burger is White Castle, basically.
Okay.
It's just down south. I went to school in Atlanta, so you Crystal Burgers. So eating Crystal Burgers and Kool-Aid and like 6 hot Krispy Kreme donuts, and I was like, "Yeah, Mom. Now what? I'm in Atlanta. You can't do nothing about it." I didn't tell her, but I felt this was great. And then after a while, I was like, I feel awful. I was like, I ain't doing this no more. I'm like, I already had my Crystal Virgo experience. I'm glad I did it,
Mm,
but I'm not doing it anymore because it didn't feel right in my body because I had something to compare. I could compare it to how my body normally
exactly.
felt.
Right.
And
And
so,
that's the importance of having a good base when you start out. You know, when you have you come from a family where they show you how to eat properly. So your experiences sound.
oh, what happened? Oh my God. I don't know what happened. I gotta call her back. Oh my God. This is crazy. I don't know what happened. So I'm gonna wait for her to come back. So anyway, what she was saying was having a good foundation is something because it enables you to go back to something that feels normal and feels good. Okay. And after eating all of, oh, she says she's trying to come back in. I don't know what happened. After eating all those crystal burgers, after a while, I know it was getting good. It isn't something that I wanted to do after a while. Hold on for 1 second, you guys. Do you need the link again? So, Ronald Boone, where did you go to school, or where are you that you knew about crystal burgers? And Rob Allbank said mostly slave food. I've lived in Alabama too long. The girls, the girl who I had the conversation with, who who was just eating, just pooping once or twice a week, is from Alabama. And her homegirls from Alabama were also saying the same thing, that they only go a couple times a week. And I remember sharing this with a doctor, and she said that's typical, that's normal. And I'm like, that's not normal. That might be the norm, which means the average or the majority of people, or the majority of your statistics will validate that fact or whatever, but that doesn't mean that it's normal or healthy. So yeah, that is where that's from. When I have family down south, and when for Christmas and Thanksgiving, which is one of the things that BnAuset was mentioning, you get this big pot of macaroni and cheese, and if you know where cheese is from, then that's not something that you want to eat either. And all the pork and the ham and all that good stuff, all that bad stuff, that's not what we want either. So we've got BnAuset back. I just talking with the people about, because there was a comment where it says, he's from Alabama and there's a lot of slave food. And I told him, I said, the people who, or he went to Albany State, that's what he sees. And I was telling him the girl who only went to the bathroom number two, once or twice a week, was from Alabama. And yeah, yeah. And the only time I see what we gonna call slave food, we're about to get in it, is when I go to family functions, holidays in down south. And there's like a plate of pig guts. And it's and for the life of me, knowing where that comes from is something that surprises me, that people even want to eat that. So what we were saying before was, we were talking about how the food what we ingest is something that gives us nutrients for our body, and becomes a part of your did you say cellular makeup?
Yes.
Can you expound on that? Because what you are is what you eat. You are what you eat, and people are not
Right.
really understanding that you are what you eat. Can you go into that for us a little bit?
Wow. Thank you for keeping the live going.
Absolutely.
I have a different setup now. Everything just shut down on me. Um,
Okay.
but basically, when the body goes through its digestive process, and it's taking the nutrients from the food, the nutrients, the different minerals that are in the food, are being absorbed by your cells. Those are the nutrients that become a part of your organs, your muscles, your bones, everything that make up your body. The entire metabolic process, it needs these nutrients in order to occur. So a lot of the foods that we are eating now, which have no nutrients in them, it's not allowing your body to get anything out of it to build the body back up and to continue life. In fact, what it's doing, because if the food doesn't have anything in it, it's robbing the body of nutrients. So you're slowly deteriorating all of the organs, you're slowly deteriorating the muscles, you're slowly deteriorating the eyes, the teeth, the bones, everything. Um, and it's something that the body does in order to preserve your life, because the body loves you so much. Your body loves you, it wants to keep you alive. Whatever you have is going to preserve your brain, your heart, your vital organs that keep you alive, until eventually, it breaks down to the point that you don't have enough energy to sustain life. And that's why we're seeing um, our family members, people who we know, dying at much earlier ages, and of diseases that we were not suffering from when we were eating a natural diet. So when you talk about how your mom raised you eating a particular way, that is extremely important. That's a similar experience to myself, because I was raised with Jamaican parents who grew up on land. My mom grew up on 13 acres of land in Jamaica. She had her own animals as well, but she planted her own food growing up as a child. So she knew about proper eating habits. Now, when she came over here, um, she tells me often that she started losing weight because the food didn't taste good to her at all. And now, as an adult, I can see that traveling to different parts of the world, even the produce doesn't taste the same. The produce here tastes totally different. When I went to Ghana in 2019, those mangoes, those
Sure.
pineapples that I ate, oh my gosh, they just, whew, they were like buttery, like they just melted in your mouth. It was so good. The pineapples that I have over here, I can barely even eat them because they end up blistering my tongue. They're so acidic. You understand? So
Mm-hmm.
the produce that we get doesn't have the nutrients that it has in other parts of the world. And part of that is because of the mass production of certain um, foods, and the hybridizing of a lot of foods, and the genetic modification of a lot of foods as well. But just having that base as a child, when you
Yeah.
start being influenced by this culture, which you inevitably will be. You're going to school with other kids who didn't grow up the way that you did, and you know everything is set up. The grocery stores. I grew up in New York, so we have corner stores, and we have every type of fast food that you can think of. Very
Every
few,
type.
yeah, very few places where you can get produce unless you're going shopping for the house.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
eventually you're going to be influenced by that. But when you've had that base growing up and you start to get sick, which you inevitably will, eating the Western way, you're going to remember, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be eating because someone
Yeah.
taught you.
And then you
Mhm.
have that memory in your body. It was, for me, it was more like a rebellion because I was like, I can't wait to act a fool and eat this nonsense. But it didn't last long. It doesn't even taste like real food. And I went to Guatemala in 2010. And long story short, it was a long journey to get from JFK to this little village in Guatemala. You fly to Guatemala City. Some lady who I never met held up a sign with my name on it outside the airport Everybody was holding up signs. My mom was like, "Sai, you think this is a good idea to just hope a lady's holding a sign up in Guatemala City?" Anyway, it worked out because I'm back here. But the point is, from Guatemala City, we went to her house. I'm exhausted. She cooks chicken with some tea and something else. I'm tired. I eat the chicken, one bite, and I was like, "Oh my God, this chicken tastes so good." One bite, and it tasted like something other than anything that I had before. Chicken. And one thing that I know is I'm from Hartford. We have a big Caribbean and Latino community in Hartford. So there's just some stuff I've absorbed from I don't know where, just living in Hartford. And I know there are chickens that lay eggs, and then there are chickens you're supposed to eat. And I don't think that this country makes that distinction because they don't even treat the animals humanely, let alone make the distinction. Now, maybe I actually had some chicken that you're supposed to eat when I had that chicken. Because it was just so different. The food in that little town was so, it just, you could tell, like, so, and I went to Cuba in 2012. We went to this like garden and the mangoes were huge. The avocados, aguacate, they're so big and you pick them up. The taste was just so phenomenal. Those mangoes, I remember what they tasted like. So flavorful and juicy and different than the mangoes you get anywhere here in the States. And so it makes you wonder, if food is food, then what am I eating here and what's going on there?
Exactly.
Like what? Yeah. Like what are we putting in our mouths that when we're trying to be healthy, you know?
And that's the funny thing when you say, you know, the flavor is so good that you actually remember it. Like you can taste it when you think about those foods. The same experience that I had eating food outside of this country, in Ghana and India and in many different places. A lot of people here feel like if they give up the fast food and the non-nutritive foods that they love so much, that the food isn't going to have any taste, that produce doesn't have any taste. And that's simply not true. It's simply not true. But the food here is different. It is different. Whatever they're doing to the food, whatever they're doing even to the land, the way that they're cultivating the food, it changes the palate, the flavor of the food. Everything. Even bananas. We're used to having these long bananas. Bananas don't look like that. Natural bananas don't look like that. They're short and fat most of the time. So like the baby bananas and the burro bananas, they have seeds in them. I didn't even know until an adult that bananas had seeds in them because I never saw it. And it's only until when I started to do my own shopping consciously, looking for the right produce, going into specialty shop. You got to go into, you know, specialty shops to find real food.
Yep. To find real food. You do.
Right.
And you typically have to go into a non like European American based place for food. Everybody else who has their own markets typically have real food. Period.
That's
and I remember I took this cooking class and we learned how to cook Indian food. And the lady was Indian. We were learning how to make lamb vindaloo. And she was like, "You want spices for this? You got to go to Queens." What's Queens? Queens is like a place where everybody from around the world lives, and they have dope restaurants. And they have their markets where they sell the spices or the food for what it is that they eat. And she was like, "You get off at this part of the train on the back end going," she broke it down, girl, of where you get the right spices. And then she was like, after a few, you know, a month or whatever, you got to throw them away. They're not even any good. And a lot of us keep our spices in our cabinets for a very long time because we don't really know any different in this Western culture. So let me ask you this question. Considering we're talking about Western culture, What is it that we ate before enslavement when we were minding our black business in various countries of West Africa before the European man and the European woman came and kidnapped us? What were we
Mhm.
eating?
Well, we had a lot of different types of grains, sorghum, millet, okay, various types of fruit, watermelon, cucumbers. Some other greens we had were fonio, um, amaranth, teff, you know, many different types of grains. We had different beans, different legumes that we had, a lot of black-eyed peas, chickpeas, things like that. Various herbs, okay, purslane, um, parsley, many different types of herbs that we had, things that we used to make tea with it. This was a part of our natural lifestyle. It wasn't something that we had to think about. We cultivated our own food. We tilled our own land. We planted our own seeds and we watched the food grow up and we ate from that food. Even though we had animals that we raised ourselves or we were purchased eating animal. It was not like, you know here where you have meat or you have some type of animal product at every single meal.
Every
That
single meal.
right. It was something that was a rarity. It was an addition. It was something for special occasions. It was not something that you had every single day at every single meal. There's not that many animals to go around. I don't think we
Right.
really understand that. Like if we count up the amount of KFCs, the amount of
Mm.
McDonald's, the amount of Popeyes, the amount of Church's chickens, the amount of
Oh,
Chick-fil-A. Count them up and see how much chicken is coming out of these places. There's not that many chickens in this world. Y'all not even eating what you think you're eating. We're not even eating the animals that we think we're eating. A lot of the
we're eating
things that you
shambles.
clone animals, they
Mm.
split and dice all different types of things. You don't understand that even from one burger, um, in McDonald's, that one burger can have the meat of hundreds of cows in it. I don't think we really understand that. Hundreds of different cows mashed together and washed in ammonia. They actually wash the meat in ammonia because they've cut it out even from animals who have been raised in um, conditions that are so toxic and sick that a lot of the meat has tumors in it. And in order to feed it to you, they just cut the tumor out and feed you the meat that doesn't have the tumor in it. How sick is that? And we're wondering why we're getting cancer and things like that. You're eating it. You are
You're
eating.
literally eating it.
Yes, you are literally eating it.
So this, unfortunately, this has become the American staple. If you listen to stories of, older people, of all ethnicities in this country, early 1900s, they didn't eat meat every day. If you watch Little House on the Prairie, they were happy to get meat. Like, oh, we're eating meat today. We're eating meat today, Paul. Like they're you didn't eat meat every day. If you
Right.
wanted meat, they would have to go shoot something. And when you shoot, let's say you shoot and kill a deer, you got to shoot the deer, you gut it, you let the blood drain, and then you drag it back to your house. I went
Mm.
hunting with some people once, and she explained to me this might happen, Sai. So this isn't like, because she thought I was a little prissy girl, which I'm not. But she was like, in case this happens, you might see some blood. They don't eat meat all the time, and when they did, they went and got a real animal minding his own business in the forest. My
That
opinion is this twofold: the cloning and the overproduction and these inhumane farms of animals are made, have been created so that they can make all of this schmood, okay, that they call food for us to eat.
smooth.
And the second thing is, every single torturous thing that our enslavers did to us, they do to those animals, because that savage need to torture clearly still exists in enough
Yes.
people to keep that industry going the way that it goes. Name one thing, just one, that happens to those animals that did not happen to our ancestors. Put it in chat, put it on a replay up in the chat, hit your girl up, put it in the Shrine DMs. Tell me. It's what they do. So bring it to like our topic of what we've been talking about.
Yes.
What happened to us during enslavement? Put in the chat what happened to us in enslavement.
I love that.
We know the skin was whipped off of our backs of all ages. Women were raped. Children were raped. Men were raped. People were killed. There was just torture. Children from mothers and fathers passed around and sold and all of those things. Put in the chat if you want that to come back. None of us want to do that. Branding. None of us want to do that or to have that done to us again.
Right.
But for some reason, we absorb and say that it is our culture to believe these very same people that they gave us something to nourish our spirituality and our bodies. Now, I'm going to leave the spirituality part to the side for a second, because we're not talking about the religions we got from the enslaver. That's another Tuesday talk.
Whole nother.
We're going to talk about. Go ahead. Only what?
I said that's a whole nother bag of worms.
Girl, ugh. And that's probably in the food as well. So it boggles my mind how we are able to physically and literally separate the physical enslavement and call that slavery and call that awful and call it torture and call it the words it deserves, and recognize the people who gave it to us as our enslavers and as someone and as people who do not mean us any well. We can do that part. But when it comes to food, we embrace it. We call it our history. We call it our culture. That is no more our culture than all those torturous elements that were put on us.
That's a fact.
That was something that was given to us. All that torture is their culture because they've done it. They did it before. They did it to us. They're doing it now. That's their culture. That's not our culture. We don't do that. Are we doing that to each other? So, I just want to know why there are people who think eating chitlins is our culture and it's soul food.
Well, the reason is because a lot of what we call culture nowadays in the global African community is actually not our culture. It is an adaptation of living under hostile conditions. So all of the things that we experienced during colonization on the continent and all of the things that we experienced during enslavement in the Americas, we never got healing for any of those things that happened, number one. And we just continued those same practices, which just became a part of our daily life and our actions. And we never analyzed or separated the things that from our enslaver versus who we were before we were enslaved. And so some of the same behaviors and practices that we picked up during slavery, we continued it and we're calling it culture. It's not our culture. It actually doesn't have anything to do with us. These are behaviors that we picked up from our oppressors and we continued it, being in a state of ignorance. And we are now we should be coming out of that, especially those who are seekers and who are willing and looking into information that is right in front of you. You should be coming out of that because we have access to the information to do something different. There was a point where we were to be made like beasts in the fields. Okay, we were to be made like animals who didn't think, couldn't see the light, couldn't see intelligence, higher thinking beyond what it is that we were taught by our enslavers. We are not physically enslaved anymore, but we still have those chains on our mind. We still have those same ideas and those same behaviors, and we don't want to separate from it. We don't even want to separate from it. This
We
is
don't
why
even want to separate from it.
no. This is why I talk about how our healing is in our culture. Our healing is literally in our culture. The things that are making us sick are the things that we are practicing that are not of us. And that's the problem.
Say it. Say it again, girl. Say it.
Professor James Smalls said, spirituality guides your life and culture informs your life. So your culture gives you your values, it gives you your interests, it gives you your principles. If you are practicing the culture of those who are practicing genocide against you, you will practice genocide against yourself. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. When we're eating these foods, and you're so right, talking about how the same things that they've done to us, they're doing to these animals. In my book, what I focus on is the vibration of the foods, the vibration of what we're eating, not just the foods, because it's everything. But since we're talking about the foods today, the energy in the food is very important. That is our makeup, our energy. And when the foods are of a very, very low frequency, it lowers our frequency. Excuse me, I need to drink. So I'm detoxing at the moment and my throat gets dry, so I have to drink while I'm talking.
That's okay, girl.
Yeah. So in terms
Can
of
I
the
just say, can I say something before we move to frequency? I want to address what you were saying. If you practice the culture of the people who are practicing genocide against you, then you will practice genocide against you. You know, I want to ask anybody alive anywhere in the universe to name the enslaver who gave chitlins to your direct descendants or to your direct ancestors. Can anyone name that slave owner? No. Or maybe you get a document and you see the name of the slave owner and you can say he probably did. He's dead. And you're still doing what he told you to do. You're still doing what was passed down from him hundreds of years ago. He don't even know you. And you don't even know him unless you search for your own records and get lucky that you find some kind of manifesto where they listed all of the items that were not human beings and they put your great-great-grandmother on it. And because they treated her like she wasn't a real human being. And you're listening to that person tell you that this is food. That's one of the reasons why I was looking for something other than Christianity and looking for African religion or African God, which is what I called it back then. Because I'm like, I'm not doing what he told me. I don't even know this man. You're not going. I'm not believing the hype. And but so you know what I'm saying. So it's like you have people who have long since been dead, who were able to show their savagery with reckless abandon, including our presidents, the earlier our founding fathers. And we saw how they were then. We see how they are and how they treat these animals in these industrial complexes, and we're still doing what they say. Right. And just like what BnAuset said, just like what Sanette said, we have the information to do better. We're not in physical bondage anymore, most of us, and you have information that is literally right here to get more information to do better. Your freedom is here,
right,
in your hands. If you want it, basically. So
it's not even about the information. They have turned us against ourselves, even on a spiritual level, because this goes
Mhm.
deep as religion, to where most of us are praying to the same gods that were introduced to us by our enslavers. So the
That's
two
right.
prevalent religions that are practiced by African people worldwide today are Islam and Christianity. And
Yep.
two groups of people who enslaved us are Arabs and Europeans. And those were the gods that they gave to us. And so we see them on a spiritual level, almost in a godly way. You
Yep.
know, it it's deep, deep, deep in our psyche. And um, my elder teacher still always said, um, they have us upside down, inside out, and backwards. So that even when we get information, we don't even know what to do with it. We don't even know what to do with it. And so many of us are so fearful.
Take your time. Like they say in church, take your time, Pastor.
Yeah, my throat is so dry at the moment. So many of us are so fearful of doing something different than what we know already, that even when you get the information and it makes sense to you, you don't want to do it. You're afraid of doing something different. You're afraid that, okay, I'm not going to be able to participate in these things that I do with my family on a regular basis. What am I going to do in place of that? I'm not going to be able to participate in some of the things that my friends are doing. What am I going to do in place of that? And Dr. John Henrik Clarke said the only way to defeat an alien and oppressive culture is to practice your own. And this is why I continuously say that our healing is in our culture. We don't know what to do when we abandon them. We're wondering, who are we if we abandon these foods that they've given us? Well, you have to now look into the research to see who we were before we were made crazy. Who were we before we were made crazy? And embrace that. Embrace your culture. That's where your healing is.
Sometimes, people associate like the bowl of chitlins that your great grandmother made for you with the love your grandmother has for you. I mean, it's ridiculous. If your great grandmother, I remember my great grandmother, we used to, she had snap peas, and we would, I would help her with the take the snap peas out or whatever, and there were a lot, and my cousin and I would do it, and but she also ate chitlins. I never ate them because they looked gross to me even when I was a kid. I didn't have any less love for my grandmother because I didn't eat the chitlins, but I ate the snap peas. The logic is ridiculous. And when you're dealing with people who are afraid to burn in hell, afraid to burn in hell, that hell hook, like a good song, and you hear the hook, you'd be like, oh, you'd be like, hell hook. And it keeps people hooked on believing, all of this mythos, or when they can't explain it, to use their faith as opposed to facts or their common sense. And that line of thinking, that whole line of thinking, includes eating this slave food and making excuses for it, and thinking that in old age you're supposed to gain weight, you're supposed to lose mobility, it's supposed to hurt, you're supposed to lose all of these things. And ironically, there were people who were enslaved who lived in their hundreds. You see pictures of people. I saw a picture of someone who was 120 something, an enslaved African. And I would imagine it's because they probably didn't get to eat a whole lot of this type of food. They probably ate a lot of fruits and vegetables, and what was left over, but stuff like that. But in modern day America, that we don't have the capacity to live that long. It's because of the food we eat, and it's our mind, and it's the amounts and the
Right.
We know all of this. So why are people not making the choice to eat something different? It's a spiritual war and it's indoctrination, but it's in the bow of if you don't do this, you're going to hell.
Yeah.
It's wrapped up into that.
Yes.
Living a culture. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. This is why the healing is on several different levels. It's not just about the food. And I talk about the 4 levels of wellness in my book, High Vibration Nutrition, as well, and the different cultural things that we did to heal the emotions, the spirit, the physical body, and the mind. It's all of these things that we have to work on. But the best place to start is the food, because the food is what's going to begin to change the pH of the blood, your physical body, so that you have the nutrients necessary for mental clarity. Some of us cannot think straight because we simply do not even have the proper nutrients for good brain functioning. Okay, so we're walking with depression, anxiety, and all of these traumas that are generational, that are passed down, and we don't know how to heal them because our minds are so clouded. We literally don't even have the nutrients in order for us to be thinking on that level for mental clarity. So the food is where you need to start first, but everything needs healing. It's not just the food.
So we have a treat for you guys today. I'm gonna show you a couple of videos of what chitlins actually are. So I'm gonna share my screen. Let me see, am I showing the right one? Oh, wait. Video, hold on. You got, no, not slides. You guys, I'm sorry, I worked on this part. Where do I look at my tabs? Oh, Chrome tab. Here we go. Hey, I'm so proud of myself. All right, guys, here we go.
Chitlins, you really have to be in your mind to really sit at your sink, stand at your sink for a long period of time. If you rush through the process, you may not get everything out of the chitlins that you absolutely need to get out of it. So I want to show you these. Ancestral chitlins is the only one that come. They don't come all the way cut open. If you would look at these chitlins, okay, they got like, it's like a pouch to this one. So what you need to do when you get this particular brand is you need to cut that pouch open. So you can just take your kitchen shears and cut it open. Hopefully all of them come this particular way. There's a reason for that, because at the factory where these are actually supposed to be quote unquote hand cleaned, they use a power washer, and it goes putting on long poles, something that looks like a long pipe, and then they suck all of the whatever's on the inside of the chitlin, and they suck it out. But to me, that's not clean chitlins. I mean, you got clean. There's an intestinal skin that's there, and that needs to be gotten off. Now, I'm just going to open up a few of these, and like I told you, this video is going to be probably done in 3 steps. I'm going to put it tonight.
Did you guys see that poop pop out? Did you guys see the poop pop out? And she said, whatever's inside there, doo-doo is what's inside there. You know it's doo-doo, but you don't want to say it's doo-doo because you're about to eat it, and you don't want to admit to yourself you're about to eat something that used to house doo-doo. Okay, I'm gonna scroll it back a little bit, and I want you to look. She pushed, and the poop popped out. People, listen. Get your family members later on and have them watch this. This is going to air tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Be like, this is a great show about food with lots of great recipes. Hold on, let me rewind this for a second. All right, there we go.
Weight. And there's a reason for that, because at the factory where these are actually supposed to be quote unquote hand cleaned, they use a power washer, and it goes through, and then they put it on a little hose, something that looks like a long pipe, and then they suck all of the whatever's on the inside of the chitlin, they suck it out. But to me, that's not cleaning chitlins. I mean, you got to clean them. There's an intestinal skin that's there, and that needs to be gotten off. Now, I'm just going to open up a few of these. And like I told you, this video is going to be probably done in 3 steps. I'm going to take tonight just to...
Did y'all see it pop out? Put in the chat if you saw it pop out. I muted it afterwards. I hope that the echo went away. Let me know if the echo went away after I muted it. So those are chitlins. This is what people say they love. This is people. Oh my goodness. People equate the love of gathering, the love of celebrating a holiday. That's a European holiday. That's another Tuesday talk. Of seeing family, of coming together. They equate that, what we just saw, as love. Let me tell you something. I love my Tuesday talk show and the people who show up. You know why? Because I had to look through so many of these nasty videos and look at it, and it was just so awful. If you want to let your people know this is what they're eating, that's the video for the first one. And if you look closely, you'll actually see the poop pop out. I also wanted to comment on something BnAuset said earlier when we talked about vibration. At one point, I was like, I'm gonna try being vegan. I did that, and I'm like, you know what? I want to eat some meat. And when I would eat the meat, I would have violent dreams. Not making this up. When I was vegan, just eating vegan, I had dreams every night. They were clear. I was able to connect to my dad visited me in my dreams. Eating the meat, violent dreams. So much so I was like, oh my God, like, where in my mind is this coming from? It's coming from the fact that you ate an animal that was tortured, and the animal was smart enough to know that it was tortured. So it was feeling stress, and it was feeling sad, and it was feeling fear, and probably anger and helplessness, because that animal knew it was about to get slaughtered. To the degree that that animal knew that it was about to get slaughtered. If you have babies who won't crawl across a table with that's glass because they think they're going to fall down. You've seen those where, they put the mother on the other side while the baby come across. The baby who's still crawling, which means probably less than 10 months old, 9 months old, won't go across an area that looks like they're going to fall down because they are able to perceive certain things. Those animals know that it's danger and that they're about to get killed, and you ingest all of that. Wow. So it's not just about the nutrients, which you're not even getting. It's also about the psyche, the spirit, the mind. It goes into your subconscious. I experienced that personally. Mm-hmm. So from my own personal experience, I also realized over time that milk and cheese were the reason why I would get acne breakouts sometimes, but also more importantly, why I would sneeze like a crazy person for days. If I drank like maybe half of this and it was, let's say, creamer and coffee, it's Monday, I'd be sneezing till Thursday. Loud, spitty, wet sneezes till Thursday. That's awful. These animals are treated right, that there's that kind of a response.
And I think it's awesome, actually, that you made the connection between what you were eating and how you reacted to it. Because a lot of us are so disconnected from ourselves that we're not even making those connections. we're experiencing it physically, but we're not making the connection between what we're eating and the way that our body is responding to the food. And you talked about something in terms of your dream after having that meat. One of the things that certain cultures have done in the past and still do, particularly European cultures, when they want to evoke the spirit of a particular being, whether it's an animal or even a human, a lot of times they will eat the flesh of that particular being in order to get those same qualities, right? So if you wanted the heart of a lion, you may eat the meat of a lion. A lot of times they wanted the strength of Black people, the physical abilities that we had, and they had a habit of eating us, actually, and still do. These are things that are still happening where we're actually being eaten. And so when you think about the fact that you are taking on the energy of whatever it is that you're consuming, this physical being that is experiencing, as you said, all of the things that we experienced during slavery, the torture, all of those emotions, the fear, the anger, the grief. Can you imagine the sadness that these animals are feeling? And we can imagine it because we've seen it happen to us over centuries. You're eating the same energy. You're eating that same energy all over again and reliving it and passing on that generational trauma instead of breaking it. So just the act of what you put into your mouth at every single meal has the power to begin to break those generational curses so that they don't continue. And when you're doing that, you're healing your entire bloodline. I don't think we even understand how powerful that is. You're not just changing the pH of your blood, you're healing your bloodline 7 generations in the past and 7 generations in the future. And a lot of people get confused when I say that. Well, how are you healing your family 7 generations past and future? Well, you're healing the past because all of the suffering that your ancestors went through, they went through so that you would be able to exist. There were some who did not even want their offspring to exist in slavery. Okay? They decided this is it for us. Your ancestors went through all of that torture just so that you could exist and that their legacy could continue. You heal that trauma when you cut off those pains that they experience by changing what you're putting into your mouth. And you also heal your bloodline 7 generations in the future because they don't have to have that same experience now because of the decisions that you made to heal yourself. It's a very, very powerful.
You said it's a very, very powerful time. Is that what you said?
I said it's a very powerful thing. It's a very powerful act to decide what you're going to eat, what you're actually going to put in your mouth. You don't have to choose what they put in front of you. See, we're going through this in so many different ways, and we're going through it in different ways until we actually learn the lesson. We're right now in a space where many of us are being forced to put certain things in our body, or we think we're being forced because we don't understand the power that we have. If everybody just says no, there's nothing they can do. You're the one who has power to decide what this world is going to look like for us just with the decision that you make. To say either, yes, I'm going to go along with the program, then you're going to get more of what their program is, or to say, no, I'm not going along with this. I want something else. They will be forced, and they are being forced to change what they have available to you. This is why there's all of this talk of going vegan, going plant-based, organic this, non-GMO that, because so many people said no. I'm not
That's
going to
right.
eat what I have on the shelves for me. I'm going to go to the farmers markets. I'm going to find out who the farmers are. Yes, this is going to be inconvenient to me at this time, but now it's not so inconvenient. Now it's not as inconvenient because they realize that they're making this food that people don't want. And so now they have to provide what it is that you're requesting. It's a simple supply and demand. So when
Simple
you
supply and
make,
demand.
exactly, when you make the decision that this is what I want and I'm not going to use my money to purchase things that are destroying me, they now they can't stock the shelves with things if you ain't gonna buy it. So if you decide you're not going to buy it, they have to provide you what it is that you're going to buy if they want to stay in business. And that's how that works.
You know, it's
This person
interesting.
here, Drip Fire, says,
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Drip Fire says it's detox. Detox is important. I eat different every season. Certain foods I don't eat in the summer. Certain foods I don't eat in the winter. That's an excellent point. That's an excellent point. I'm currently going through the 21-day detox, which I am leading my community through every season as well. We tend to get sick during the seasons a lot. A lot of people say every season I get a cold or I get the flu. And that's because your body is fed up because you've been eating so poorly over a period of time. Now all of a sudden your body starts to break down when there's a change in the weather. And so detoxing every season at least is very, very important. And that's very much correct. There's certain foods that you're not supposed to have in one season that you would have in another season. But because we're getting our food from all over the place, a lot of the times we're having foods that are totally out of season. Um, so that was
Completely.
a very great.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm glad that that's why I tagged it, because there are certain foods that you're supposed to be eating in season and other foods that you're not supposed to be eating in season. So then it's like, what seasons are we following? Are we following the 3 seasons of ancient Kemet? Are we following the 4 seasons in the Northeast, or the like 2.5 seasons down south, or maybe the 1 season, like let's say you live in Miami, it's like hot and moist and wet and hot all the time. So can you give us a little just guideline on how it is that we can eat based on the seasons?
Well, you have to eat based on what's available to you locally. So wherever you are in the world, what I say is eat as close to natural and eat as close to your ancestors ate with what is available to you locally. You want to get food that is grown locally if possible, as much as possible. And you also want to continue eating the foods that you ate or your ancestors ate when they were in their natural environment, whatever that looks like to you. So whatever foods, ancestral foods are available to you in your local environment, that's what you should be focused on during that particular season. So it would be different for all of us depending on what location we're in. Um, but that's what I would recommend. That's what I would recommend.
Can you talk a bit about, so you all know, guys, this year for Tuesday Talk, you're getting take home, you're getting homework. You have take home practical answers to what you can do. Eat locally, eat the food of your ancestors. So what does that mean? That's kind of going back to what we said before, finding the ethnic community of your ethnicity and go to their markets and eat their foods, or get something that's as close to that as you can. I'm a big proponent of learning how to grow your food inside the house. I have some garden plots outside the house. This year, I'm learning right now in the process, but I am going to learn to grow food inside my own home, because then what that does is that gives you the ability to find seeds, learn how to grow from seeds, learn how to plant, learn how to grow in your house. There's hydroponics. You can even outfit your whole like a whole room to grow with growing plants and stuff, like grow plants and stuff like that. And you can also go from there. So BnAuset, can you show your book and give us the name of your book?
Yes. This is a book. Okay, this is a book here. If you all can see it, this is the High Vibration Nutrition book.
Bring it over a little
And
bit.
I
Yeah, right there. Yeah, right there. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so I hope you all can see that. The book is, I created it to be a simple guide to transitioning to plant-based nutrition. And I did it that way because I'm basically giving myself what I used in order to transition to plant-based nutrition years ago. A lot of people ask me, how did I do it? What are some of the things that I did? And I documented that over a period of maybe about 7 or 8 years. And the first way that I started out was with a 21-day detox. At the time, when I was experiencing a lot of different health issues, skin problems, womb wellness issues, depression, anxiety, all of these different things. Um, and I started to come into knowledge about the food industry and all of these things that we talked about today, and how the food is actually grown, packaged, and sold to us. Um, I decided that I wanted a different experience. And what I learned is that it takes at least 21 days in order to develop a new habit. So we have these pathways in the brain that every time you perform another behavior, it's like the pathway gets deeper and deeper. Just like when you walk on a path, um, in nature, whether you're walking down a dirt road, as many people as possible who walk down the same path, they create a deeper and a wider and a more traveled path. The same thing happens to the pathways in your brain. The more you perform a particular behavior, the stronger and deeper that pathway gets. And so when you begin a new habit and you practice it for at least 21 days, you create a new pathway in the brain, and you create new behaviors, new patterns, and new habits. So when I decided to do my detox, I eliminated 5 main things. I eliminated, during these 21 days, coffee, alcohol, meat and dairy products, or all animal foods, GMO artificial foods, and um, microwaved foods as well. So I did that process for 21 days, and that was the beginning of my own wellness transformation on so many different levels. And every single time I do this detox, it takes me to another level in my life. There's always another level to go through, and the detox helps you to do that. So I documented how to do that, as well as the frequency and the energy of the foods, as well as the cultural aspect that we talked about today. So what I did in one particular chapter of the book, it's a good section of the book that speaks on all of the different areas of the world, all of Africa, all of Europe, Asia, all of the different parts of the world, and the foods that are naturally grown in those areas, the climate of these different areas, so that you can see why certain foods are coming from certain cultures and what your culture is. you can make the connection between what you are eating now and whether it is or isn't a part of your cultural or ancestral uh, nutrition, right?
BnAuset, can you give me, you gave up alcohol, coffee, and meat. What were the other two again?
Alcohol, coffee, meat, dairy, GMO foods, so GMO artificial foods, processed foods, as well as microwaved food. I, I like to call it the micrograve, as Dr. Lila Africa used to say. The micrograve.
Microwave. Oh,
Yeah,
microwave. Yes. Microwave.
micrograve.
Now, what's the name of your book one more time?
The name of the book is High Vibration Nutrition. High Vibration Nutrition. And it's available on my website, KaNSekmet.com. It's also available on Amazon.com. So this is the guide that we're using now as we go through the 21-day detox. It's set up so that you can actually go through the detox at any time. It's video guided. There's different information in there, not just the recipes, but meditation, high vibration music, things like that in the entire guide, and different steps to go through, questions to answer. Hekau. I use the Medunecher. Um, for those of you who don't know, Hekau are words of power. And that's the term that's used in the ancient Kemetic language. So what we know as affirmations today, this was our whole culture, our whole language was a language of affirmations, high vibration
That's right.
words. Yes. And so I use those. Today's word actually is ma'at. Ma'at.
Hey.
Yes. So I'm so point and so in alignment. I'm here with Abu Sashat of the Shrine of Ma'at, and my
Yes.
affirmation for today is Ma'at.
Is my aunt. You know what else I didn't have growing up? A microwave. I didn't have a microwave, yep, in the house until I went to college, and I had roommates and we had a microwave. That's the first time I had that. I'm not saying I never had microwave food, because you go to other people's houses, blah blah blah. But we didn't have a microwave in the house, and
You
I
were
remember as a
so
little kid. I'm sorry.
you were so lucky.
Yeah, I was, and my parents also told me that Santa Claus was not real. Jesus was black, and the first people on the planet were African people. So,
That's
they gave me every African thing they could give to me. And so when Ronald Boone says me too. So I guess he got some of that stuff too. So it helps to come from that perspective. So,
right.
alcohol, giving up alcohol, coffee, meat, dairy, micrograve,
Yes.
and GMO food. I've given up GMO food. And if this is something that you need to do, because I'm gonna keep it real with you, I have a drink sometimes, and I have coffee. Well, I'm currently not drinking coffee, and resizing my portion sizes, because sometimes even with healthy food, we eat too much. Although it's hard to eat too much salad, so I had to do a bit of a recharge, or reset rather, to make sure that you just still keep things in human proportion and not Western American diet proportion. So
Yes.
the things that BnAuset said was giving up coffee, alcohol, meat, cheese, dairy in general for me, and fake food. That's not even food. Don't eat. It's not even food. Don't eat what's
Right.
not food. And my
And those
suggestion,
go ahead.
one moment, my suggestion, just go cold turkey. You might have a headache, you might be cranky, whatever, fine. It's like when people are detoxing from being on drugs. And like y'all saw the movie, I forgot, New Jack City, when Pookie was detoxing, and he was, and iced tea had them and all of that. Sometimes it's like that, where, you know, you maybe not that bad, but you're going through withdrawal, legit withdrawal, because you know what I'm saying? Because the GMO food and the Frankenstein food have chemicals in there. Drugs are chemicals. And so when your body is expelling it, you are going through withdrawal. Call it what it is. And so then you will know what's going on. And then you can ask yourself later on down the line, do you want to have to go through withdrawal again? Clean your diet. I remember when there was the South Beach diet. At that point, I said, I'm getting rid of cans, anything in a can, anything in a box, anything in a bag. What's the other thing? Fast food, white sugar, cold turkey. I had a little withdrawal. I was a little cranky pants because I couldn't put a ridiculous amount of sugar in everything. But that was like over 20 years ago. And I never went back to putting sugar and stuff, white sugar and stuff. And there's some things I just don't do anymore because of that one time that I did that then. I just liked how my body felt and all of that. And my face was clear and everything was great. And I just never went back to it. My suggestion is just suffer a little bit for 2 days. Go cold turkey and you'll feel a little suffering. And then the difference, you'll feel a stark difference from, let's say you start on Monday. From Monday to Wednesday, you will feel a difference because you're getting all of the crap out at once, like cleaning out all the house and throwing it all out. So, you know, that's my suggestion for that. I have here part of your homework. Start to detox with alcohol, coffee, meat, dairy, GMO foods, microwave, and then high vibration nutrition. That's the name of the book. Okay, I'm going to leave that up there. I'm going to write in here high vibration nutrition, and I'm going to take it down. So I'm letting you know so you can write this down, take a picture screen, do something, because these Tuesday talks are giving you tools so that you can use your culture again. Okay, so high vibration nutrition, and you can buy it at.
You can buy it on KaNSekmet.com, and you can also get it on Amazon.
Boom. Okay. Here we go. So we need to, I'm sorry? We need to support. Okay, it says an error occurred. We need to support our sisters and brothers who are in the fight to bring us back home mentally, spiritually, you know. And this is her Cash App, because we got a lot of good information here. Okay. And when we were preparing for this and just chit-chatting, of course, the conversation went off to, you know, Black girl magic and melanin popping and what it is that Black girls do when we be Black girling, right? And so I had said to myself before, I want to know what I would still be eating had enslavement not happened. And so, I said to myself, that's just more work that I'm going to have to do, but I'm going to do it. And so when BnAuset was like, this is my book, and this was, and I was like, yes, because you saved me so much work. Because it's not that I didn't want to do it, but I just really want to start and not always be in research mode. You know what I'm saying? It just feels like you're always researching this and researching that. So this book is a tool to help you regain you. You know, I would look at this as a way to, like a tunnel of some sort, to make a connection back to your family member who was taken from wherever your family member was taken. Okay. I did the African ancestry test, and the original woman who was stolen from Africa in my matrilineal lineage, my mother's line, is Hausa.
Wow.
And no, yes. And knowing that, like, I just had to I reflected back. I was like, this woman is my ancestor. She's my relative. She's my relative. She's my
Right.
distant relative. A distant relative. And she was Hausa. So how do Hausa people eat? I don't
And
know. I'm gonna read BnAuset's book, and it's gonna root me into West Africa, and I'm gonna start there. It's probably not gonna be that much different than what's suggested. No, for real. And because I was just like,
right.
I guess I'm gonna be eating a lot of jollof rice. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna go on YouTube and figure that out. But this is a journey that's fun. If we look at regaining our culture and regaining our spiritual systems, then we will be able to, we should be able to make this something that's fun. You know what I mean? I'm gonna put up BnAuset's Cash App one more time. I meant to tag it, but I started talking. There we go. Okay, good.
Oh,
Yes,
thanks.
yes.
It
So,
absolutely is fun. Whole exploration, actually. It's a whole exploration of self and all of the things that were kept from you, actually, in a lot of different ways. I don't think there's anything more interesting to a person than themselves. Like the idea of unveiling all of these different layers and layers and layers of yourself is an
mhm.
exciting um it's an exciting activity. It's an exciting discovery. It's a journey. It's a whole journey. And I know that connecting the food is such an important place to start. I love that you said you thought about your your ancestor who was a Hausa woman, and eating that food is your connection to that woman, because it really is. Dr. Lila Africa taught us that it takes over 2,000 years for the stomach culture of a species to change. So the way that our ancestors ate is the way that we are supposed to be eating. Our gut has its own culture. And when you begin to change that drastically, very, very drastically, you see how not only does it deteriorate the body, but there is a disconnection from self. There's a disconnection from self. That food connection that we're trying to get by eating what we call soul food, which is really slave food, that's actually what we're trying to get. We're trying to stay connected to our ancestors, and we know this is how my mom ate, this is how my grandmother ate, but
That's a good
we're
point.
doing it in the correct way. We're connecting to what they ate under a system of oppression, rather than
Right.
going back a little bit further to what your ancestors several generations ago ate when they were in a state of wellness. That's what you want to connect to.
Mm.
That's what you want to
In a
connect to
state of
and bring
wellness.
forward. Right.
Something
Right.
that's actually a part of our own culture and not this nonsense, you know. Can you talk a bit about Kemetic Wellness Sacred Healing Center?
Yes. Okay. So, Comedic Wellness Sacred Healing Center is my baby. Actually, it's an organization that I founded, rooted in ancient African teachings. And the mission of Kemetic Wellness Sacred Healing Center is to sankofa, to go back and fetch those things that kept us in wellness and to bring them forward so that we can reclaim that state of wellness in present day. So our motto is your healing is in your culture. A lot of the things that we're actually starting to get back to, but not all of us are connecting it to our culture. So some of the things that we're practicing, yoga and meditation and mindfulness and all of these different practices, some of us who are doing it, we're doing it for the health benefits, but not necessarily connecting it to our culture. And all of these things are our culture. This is a part of natural lifestyle. Plant-based nutrition is African natural lifestyle. It's not a fad diet, as some people are calling it. Some people are just doing things for trends. But the real healing is when you connect it to your culture, because you are seeing yourself in your own healing. You're recognizing this as a part of who you are rather than a fad that you're practicing. And some of the tools that you can use for your healing, if you don't see yourself in it, it's you're imitating the imitators. You're imitating the people who took this information that came from your culture ancestrally, and they've added their own flavor to it, which is great. It can be helpful to you to a certain point, but it's a total different level of healing when you connect it to your culture. So, like yoga, for example, I first was introduced to yoga as a child. And when I saw it, it was on a workout DVD, and it was a bunch of white women. And I actually found it to be incredibly boring. I couldn't do it. I could not do it. But when I look back in my childhood, I did yoga naturally. And a lot of children do, actually. A lot of children just do it naturally. Um, I would be, when I wanted to exercise, I would do all of these different stretching exercises, and not by anyone teaching me, just what I naturally felt I wanted to do. And it wasn't until I got into a car accident in 2015, which you talked about at the beginning of the stream. I got into this car accident in 2015, and I lost function of my legs. I lost function of my legs. I wasn't able to walk for a period of time. I had to um, do a lot of mobility work, a lot of physical therapy, chiropractic care, all of those things to start to begin to train myself to walk again and build my body back up. But one of the things that I found during that time when I couldn't do any of the other exercises that I was used to doing, I first found mobility. And what mobility is it's really just getting the joints and the muscles moving again. So it's small, gentle movements that get the muscles moving again. And I would practice that in bed. And then once I kind of got used to that, I found yoga again. And this time it was actually an Asian woman who was teaching the yoga on this home workout program that I had. And I felt the difference immediately in how it opened up my body, how it lengthened my muscles, and how it strengthened my muscles. I really accelerated my healing from that accident with just practicing yoga. It was incredibly helpful to me. But then I was introduced to who I like to call the keepers of African medicine, and those are my teachers, my jegnas, um, who taught me about African holistic health. And I was taught that your culture is where the medicine is. And so when I started practicing yoga from that perspective, I learned about Kemetic sacred movement, which is the origin of yoga. We're always taught that it comes out of Asian culture, out of Indus Valley civilization. And it was brought there from ancient Africans. Okay. And Kemetic sacred movement is not just an exercise that you're doing. It is meant to open up the different vortices of the body, the different portals of the body with the Necheru, which are the divine forces of nature. That is medicine on a totally different level than just performing an exercise. You understand? And knowing that that's connected to your ancient African ancestors, the healing that takes place on that is on a totally different level.
It definitely
That
is on a
was
different
my
level. Go ahead. Go
right.
ahead.
Oh,
Sorry, we have a delay. When I started doing Kemetic yoga, I had already been doing yoga for a while, and I felt a spiritual connection with Kemetic yoga that I hadn't experienced before. But that's also another Tuesday talk, talking about Kemetic yoga and the benefits of that. I will say this: Bikram Choudhury, who founded Bikram Yoga, long story short, had an accident. A huge weight crushed his knee. The doctors wanted to amputate his knee. He wouldn't let his leg. He wouldn't allow it. His family wouldn't allow it. He healed himself through yoga. A crushed knee, crushed so badly that they wanted to amputate. And you, without mobility of your legs, and you got your mobility back. That is the power of yoga, and that is the power of eating healthy to prevent all of these ailments that we bring on ourselves. Quite frankly, we didn't even discuss the immobility, lack of exercise.
Ooh.
We didn't even talk about that.
Yes.
We were just talking about the food. Okay. There are many different ways of movement that don't affect the joints. Walking, yoga, weights don't affect the joints. If you do it healthy, you don't put junk in your body to get big muscles. Swimming. Those are just a few. That Pilates.
Right.
Those are just a few that come off the top of my head. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what? Actually, I should go to somebody found it on Amazon. Let me look for your book on Amazon and put the link in Amazon. I don't know why I didn't think to do that. Oh, high, where is it? What is it again? High vibration
nutrition. High vibration nutrition.
High vibration nutrition. Someone.
If you.
Sorry.
If you get it on my website, you can actually get signed by me. It's the only difference. You can't sign it, you can get it from Amazon. But you can get it on my website.
I should have thought of that first. Anyway, I don't know why I didn't do that. Oh my goodness. What's going on with my you guys get to see all of my problems. My KaNSekmet.com. Is that it? KaNSekmetOfficial.com?
Oh, Kemetic Wellness.
Oh, then there's that's it. All right. Here we go.
Wellness Official
Come
is
on
the new
through.
brand.
Let's see. And I go to shop.
Yeah,
and
if you go to shop, you will see it as one. Yeah.
High vibration nutrition book. Here we go.
Nutrition. Love looking at these comments.
Alrighty.
And you all are awesome. I wish I could see the comment as we were talking.
I'm gonna put share screen, and
we had a lot of little things.
Chrome tab. This one.
Oh,
boom.
Somebody put it.
Do you see the tab, you guys? Yes. You see the tab? That's what it looks like. I'm gonna scroll down so you can see it. Hey, I'm scrolling down. Look, here it is. It's $18, $17.95, guys. Look at this beautiful black family. Hey, you get a signed book. You get a signed book. Here's the other picture.
Yes.
And we see BnAuset looking all fine with a finger on her face. She's like, I know I'm fine. I know I'm fine. Okay. We see that picture. And then here's the other one on the back. And here she is right here, y'all. We're going to support this sister. We're going to go to her website, which is KaNSekmet.com. Let me tag this. Boom. Did it go up? Oh, there you go. There you go, people. That's what it looks like. All right. So I'm stop sharing the screen. So there we go. I just want to say thank you so much for listen. I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. I am so glad I asked her to be on Tuesday Talk just to find this book, because that's just one more thing on my to-do list to do that I don't have to do. It's a beautiful book. It's already done. It's right there. I'm going to buy her book at full price and get it signed. We're gonna support our Black brothers and sisters who are doing stuff. We don't ever ask anybody to give us a discount. Hook it up. I know you, girl. No, full price from the website. Support the sister. This is a guide and a tunnel back to your ancestor who was stolen, back to the food you would have been eating but for enslavement. Okay, so one more thing. The Shrine of Ma'at is having initiation starting in late February, early March, and applications are available. So you can, if you are interested in initiation, please go to shrineofma'at.org. And then you click on where it says initiation applications. You have to click on something, and then you scroll to the bottom of the page and you see the application right there. If you have any questions about initiation, if you have any questions and want to contact BnAuset, I put her IG page. It's KaNSekmet Wellness Official. All these pages, all the Cash App, all of this, all of that. If you forget, you can't find it, you wrote it down someplace, you can always DM the Shrine of Ma'at. I will get the DM. Might take a day or two, but I'll get it and I'll respond with any contact information you need from her website, her book, her Instagram, her Detox, all of that. Her Cash App. You need it, I got it. Okay. I want to say thank you guys for showing up every Tuesday, even when Tuesday's a Monday. I appreciate the support. I'm getting, a lot of good feedback, which I really appreciate you letting me know. So I know I'm on the right track. If there are any ideas or people that you want on the show, let me know. I'll see what I can do. And this is our Pan-African Village, people. We are the ones who we've been waiting for. We literally are, because the information is available. It's out there. So we're living in this information age, and our effects, our actions rather, have already made an impact, because we see the upheaval, the unrest, the visceral, racism and white fragility masquerading as white supremacy. We see the visceral intensity of it. Where is that coming from? It's coming from the fact that we're waking up. We're waking up. Wake up your brothers and sisters. Let them know that there are places like the Shrine of Ma'at to fill that void. And the food we eat is the food we should be eating from our ancestors. Okay? So thank you once again, Dua, for being here. And go forth in peace. Shem Emetep, and I will see you next Tuesday. This will air tomorrow if you want to bring somebody to a Tuesday Talk taping on a Tuesday. Much more peace and Black power to the family.